Cool. All right. So welcome, first of all. This week, we are building an agent that probably has the most relevance to businesses that are location-based. We're going to be using the Google Business Profile tool. This is a Google business listing. You may or may not be familiar with it, but it's most commonly used for location-based businesses, restaurants, cafes, physios, and anywhere where you physically go somewhere to get this service or the product. And so staying on top of reviews that you receive and responding to them is one, good practice, but also two, leans into the Google algorithm in a way that Google likes. Now it's a dark art. I don't know how much of an impact it has, but I do know that active business profiles are looked on favorably and you might be served more often. So right now, the search term I've used is AutoHive, and it's served up our business listing because it knows what we're looking for. But it's possible with a very active business listing, especially if it's a sector or an industry that that has competition, or it's a vague-ish business name or term, that you might be served for terms other than your direct brand name, for example. So staying on top of reviews is one way, and requesting them as well as responding to them is good practice. So we are going to build an agent that uses the integration in AutoHive for the Google Business Profile. And it's going to initially, I won't run it on a schedule, but we will set it up to run on a schedule once it's done and it works. It will check our business profile for new reviews and draft a response to those reviews. I think I'll set it up so that it pings me in Slack saying, I found some new reviews and I've drafted a response, jump into the app to approve, and then I'll post them for you. And once I jump back into the app and approve it, it will post them directly, and then we can come back here and check that one of these reviews has got a response. So right now we've only got 2 reviews, a lovely one from Simon Lendrum, which doesn't have a reply. So, and this one does have a reply. So when we test this agent, it should tell us that it's found 2 reviews, only one of them needs a reply, and then it'll draft the reply for us. So with that, let's jump into AutoHive, and I'll create a new workspace for this. So I'll just click on the word workspaces, create workspace. Let's go Google Reviews Management. This actually also might be a good time to speak to how I use workspaces in AutoHive. The word workspace is used by other software companies to mean different things, so it can be confusing for some people. Slack calls a workspace or uses the word workspace to refer to a whole business unit, for example. But in my own personal version of AutoHive, I've got loads of workspaces, and I treat them as on a project basis. And I always think about what integrations or tools do I need the agents in this workspace to use, and are they different, or are they different accounts to the same tools in another workspace? So for example, in the marketing workspace, we might have authorized the Gmail tool for marketing@autohive.com, so it can check those emails and help us write responses. But if I want to do something similar for my own account, I would create a separate workspace. I would re-authenticate the Gmail tool to my own AutoHive, and then those 2 things stay completely separate. So think about workspaces as either projects or maybe teams, or a combination of those 2 things. And a sneaky little extra thing for you is, if you've only got a starter workspace plus one other one potentially, you can't delete those initial workspaces when you first start on the app. If you create workspaces, every workspace thereafter can be deleted. So you can click here and go delete workspace on this one because it's one I've just created. But the starter workspace up here, I don't see that button. So that catches some people out sometimes. Anyway, let's crack into building this agent. And there are 2 different ways to do this. I'm going to show off the agent creator again this week because it's super cool and it blows people's minds. So let's do that. There's the agent creator over here on the right-hand side. is going to build this agent for us. I'll prompt it to do so in a second. But we also have another agent in Browse Agents over here called Prompt Writer, and Prompt Writer is deliberately designed as a prompt engineer. It writes really comprehensive system instructions. It can interview you before it writes the instructions to extract information about what you want the agent to do that you're going to build. So you'll get more detailed instructions out of Prompt Writer, and I would go there when the stakes are higher potentially. Excuse me. So let's go create agent. We'll use the agent creator over here. I'm going to use my voice again. I do have my speech to text tool ready. So let's have a go. Let's create an agent to stay on top of responding to our reviews on our Google Business listing. We have a Google Business Profile tool in AutoHive. So this agent will use that. The agent will need to get approval from a human user before this agent is allowed to post the actual response, but it will have the tool to post the response and should always do so once it receives approval. Once the agent is working correctly, I will schedule it in the AutoHive app in the scheduled area so that it runs once a week and gets all reviews which don't already have a response. The agent should seek approval by sending a draft of the review response to a Slack channel for the user to see. And once the message is sent to Slack, the agent will wait for approval. Once it gets approval, it should post the response using the Google Business Profile tool. So that's a really detailed response or a detailed prompt. I'll stick this into the chat as well for the meeting in case anybody wants it to test it. If I can find the chat, hang on, there it is. Oh, did I clicked away from the box before my speech to text tool managed to do its thing. So I'll just dump that in there. So if you haven't seen Agent Creator, prepare to have your mind blown. It's filling in the title. It's going to fill in the system prompt. It will find the Google Business Profile tool, hopefully, and add that as a capability to the agent as well. So there's the system instructions in, and you get a lot more detail there than you would write yourself, probably, most likely, but not as much as you would get from Prompt Writer. So bear in mind what level of complexity or what the stakes are for whatever agent you're building. Cool, so it's found the Slack tool, it's found the Google Business Profile tool, it knows we need both of those. It's giving us a summary of what it's done. Man, how cool is that? It blows my mind, and I've been using it for more than a week now. So I'll close that now. I'm just going to auth these tools that we need. I'll just check what models it's picked as well. So it's gone for the latest Claude. Let's go Sonnet, just so we can turn the temperature down. HiQ 4.5 has only just come out, and I don't think we've got temperature control yet. If you're not familiar with temperature, don't worry too much about it. It's something I'm messed with reasonably often. It controls kind of the level of creativity of the agent that you're building. And sometimes you want creativity, sometimes you want none. So for this agent to write acceptable responses to reviews, but also stick to the instructions that we've given it and not post without approval, for example, I've turned the temperature down a little bit. The generally accepted default for temperature is 0.7. So when you're talking to ChatGPT in ChatGPT or Claude in Claude, you're getting a 0.7 model. And another benefit of AutoHive, I guess, is having that control. So you can turn that temperature down when you want to build a data analysis agent or something. I would whack it all the way down to 0 because you don't want creativity in that process. You want maths. So let's auth this for, and this goes back to the projects. Sorry, the workspaces point I was making earlier. Typically, when I'm authenticating tools, I always do it for everyone in this workspace. If you want someone else to be able to use one that you've authenticated, you can invite them into the workspace. But if you author the whole plan, then people can use that tool in other workspaces that you're not in. So I guess just proceed with caution if you do that. Okay, let's do Slack. Let's choose a channel, review responses, just allow. Right, those two are auth. One thing that I've just realized it didn't do is ask me for a Slack channel to post into. First thing I'm going to do is just at the AutoHive app and send that message, and then it'll ask me, do you want to add this app to this channel? And I'll say yes, add them. That just removes any stickiness when it tells me it can't access the channel, for example. I will say, please make space in the instructions for Slack channel ID so it knows where to post to get approval. So whilst it's doing that, I'm just going to jump back to Slack and find the channel ID. So to do that, open channel details, and then in the first tab, about, down at the bottom, there's channel ID. So I've copied it, and it's put in a placeholder here. So I will replace that with that and just check it's not anywhere else. Yeah, there it is. So you could make it request this approval in different ways, right? I'm using Slack as we use Slack all the time. If you don't use Slack, you could make it use your own Gmail tool and send you an email, for example, when it's waiting for approval. Or if you use the Microsoft environment, you can use the Outlook tool and email yourself there, or make it stick an event in your calendar to approve reviews, say once a week or something. So lots of different ways to get the approval. Really, the demo here is focused on the business profile tool first and foremost. So I haven't read those instructions at all. Let's just assume that the agent creator has nailed it. And now we'll take it for a test run and say, okay. And I'm going to prompt this as though it's a scheduled job so that we don't have to have a conversation. I'm just going to say, okay, please check for new reviews with our responses and send your response draft to Slack for approval. So if you imagine this agent ran once a week, that prompt is enough to get the same result. There's no dates in there. I haven't said the 21st of October because that would break if it was scheduled, for example. So it's specific enough so it knows what it has to do, but also generic enough for it to be done over and over again. So it's called the tool. It should bring back 2 responses, or 2 reviews rather, and say one of them doesn't have a response. There we go. So next, I think it should draft the, oh yeah, it's not even going to show us the draft, it's just sent it to Slack. So let's jump across to Slack and see whether it came in. Yeah, here it is, review responses. This is Simon's review. This is the proposed response. Kuro Simon, thank you so much for this fantastic review. Absolutely thrilled. Your feedback about our support team and evolving capabilities means the world to us. So I didn't actually ask it to, but Agent Creator has included the ability to reference the review in the response that it writes. So it's saying your feedback about our support team and evolving capabilities means the world. And Simon mentioned amazing support team, constantly evolving. So that's pretty cool. Agent Creator does a pretty good job of prompt engineering. And what we can do now is come back in here and say, I checked Slack, looks good, please post it. I've let Simon know that we're using his review as a demo as well, so he knows he's going to get bombarded with email notifications for this. So it says posted approved response. Let's jump across and have a quick look. I'll just refresh. There it is. So that's cool. That takes a little bit of hopping around out of the process of keeping up with your Google reviews, the last thing that we can do now is go scheduled and go create job, check Google reviews weekly. And then we'll pick that agent. Let's start it from Friday, 5 p.m. It's probably that's a terrible time to do it. That email's going to be at the bottom of your inbox by Monday. That's not emailing, I guess it's Slacking. So let's say weekly on a Monday. That's confusing when I've just selected the day of the week. Let's say every 7 days. Ends never. So I'll give it the same instruction that I gave it before. Please check for new reviews, draft your responses, and send to Slack for approval. So that's it. That agent is scheduled now. You don't have to be in AutoHive or kick it off in any way. That that job will just run at the times and on the intervals that I just selected there. And as I said earlier, how you choose to get the approval message is up to you. Let's jump back in here and have a look at some of the integration options that we've got to see how we could do it. Discord could do it, I guess, if you're a Discord user. What else have we got? Gmail obviously could do. Calendar, I said you could calendar an event to check back in AutoHive for the runs of this scheduled job and then approve. Microsoft 365, you could get it there, obviously. Slack, Microsoft Teams is in as well. Cool. So lots of different ways to get the approval, and hopefully one of those fits your current tech stack and workflow. As I say, this is a use case that's most useful to location-based businesses, but generally speaking, staying on top of requesting reviews and responding to reviews, Google likes that, and yeah, this makes it a wee bit easier. So with that, I'll stop sharing, and if anybody's got any questions about that build or about anything else, then we've got just over 10 minutes left.